Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be bringing you what will likely be my final 2023 mock draft for the Washington Commanders. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Show love to this video, hit that like button, that notification bell, and comment down below who you want the Washington Commanders to draft at 16. So let's get started. Like I said, probably will be my last mock draft. Maybe I'll do one like the day before of like my exact prediction. This is kind of a mix of what I think they'll do and what I want them to do. So this is the spot that we're in right now. Bijan Robinson's available at 16. Devin Witherspoon, Brian Branch, Cam Smith, Keely Ringo, Deontay Banks. There's some other guys available as well. Dalton Kincaid, Nolan Smith, Darnell Wright. Don't pay attention to these rankings so much because I feel like a lot of them are off. Like you look at Darnell Wright, he's a lot lower than most people have him. Same thing with Deontay Banks, like 24 I think is pretty low for him. And some of the other guys as well, like Cam Smith might be a little bit too high. In this scenario though, I would probably take Devin Witherspoon. I think he probably isn't there at 16. I think there is a chance though. I think Christian Gonzalez will be the first cornerback taken off the board, probably around 6. That's probably the earliest he could be taken is at 6. And if he's not taken there, he'll be taken well before we pick at 16. And then Devin Witherspoon's probably the next guy. Who knows though, there might be a team that really likes Joey Porter because he fits their scheme or likes the athleticism of Deontay Banks. So I think there's a low chance it happens, but I could see Devin Witherspoon being here at 16. And then Brian Branch is another guy that I think would interest the Commanders. What I'm getting, though, I feel like it might be O-line in the first for the Washington Commanders. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards, but this will be a mix of what I think they will do and should do. I think a cornerback in this scenario would be the best option just because I don't like any of the options right here too much. I do like Darnell Wright, but this, if I was doing a trade back mock draft, this would be amazing, but I'm not. And you would definitely, if you traded back to like 23, 24, around where the Jaguars are, 25, you could get, Devin Witherspoon's not going to be there, but Brian Branch maybe, Deontay Banks, Darnell Wright. So right here, if this is the board, I'm taking Devin Witherspoon and not really thinking much about it. And again, if that wasn't the case, if he wasn't there, I'm taking Deontay Banks. I'll give you guys a little bit of background. Not going to give too much background because we have a lot of players to get through. Just under 6 foot, 181 pounds. You look at his stats at the combine. I'm not seeing it, but it wasn't amazing numbers at the combine. Not amazing. Okay numbers. Deontay Banks and Christian Gonzalez had much better numbers at the combine than Devin Witherspoon, but still was solid in terms of what numbers he got. Some of his strengths: he allowed a completion rate of just 35% in 2022 per PFF. Instinctive with 14 pass breakups. You love to see that. The ball production, I believe he also had 3 interceptions. Some of the weaknesses you guys can see here, you guys can read for yourselves right there. And just if you look at his stats, has played 4 years, so somewhat experienced right there, and had 5 interceptions over 4 years, but 3 interceptions in 2022 and 14 pass breakups. You love to see that. His last year was his best year by far. Doesn't really get to the quarterback much, but I mean, that's to be expected. Very few cornerbacks get sacks, and he has 1 sack over 4 years. Not an issue at all, of course. Don't even know why I brought it up, but yeah, 3 interceptions this past year combined with 14 pass breakups. Like, that's great production. And even though he didn't have any interceptions in 2021, still had 9 pass breakups. So solid. Not as good of in terms of interceptions and pass breakups as Emmanuel Forbes, but he makes up for that in a bunch of different areas. And yeah, so Devin Witherspoon, probably my number 2 cornerback. If I had to rank the cornerbacks, I would probably go Christian Gonzalez, clearly 1, then Devin Witherspoon, then probably Deontay Banks, then I would probably go Joey Porter, and that's kind of the top tier of corners in my opinion. If you're gonna do tiers, that's probably what I would have it at, and then, or you could even split that into 2 tiers if you wanted. Tier 1, Christian Gonzalez, and tier 2, the rest of those guys, and then tier 3, like Emmanuel Forbes and guys like that. So take Devin Witherspoon. I think it is a very solid pick. Now on to the next. Okay, so now we're into the second round. There's a lot of different spots the Commanders could go here. I do think they should go offense. And, offensive line is a, position they could go in the first round. But where they were at, I didn't like anyone. If Paris Johnson is there or, Peter the tackle out of Northwestern, tackle/guard, I'm taking one of those two. But if not, I'm taking one of the, second tier or first tier corners, depending on how you look at it, in Witherspoon, Banks, maybe Joey Porter, depending on the, scheme fit. And then Brian Branch, not necessarily a corner, but a DB that I think would fit the Commanders, what they want to do. Would not mind him at all. And, who's available here? Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama. Don't think we need him right there. Darnell Washington is a possibility. Would not mind it. But I think, the tight end position still isn't great. But you have some guys there, Armani Rogers, Cole Turner, and even Curtis Hodges that, they're projects, but some of them have potential, and I think we have more of a need at offensive line than tight end. I, again, would not mind taking a tight end here because I do like Darnell Washington. You could, Luke Musgrave's there as well. He's a guy that I think could intrigue the Commanders as well, but for me right here, took corner in the first. I am leaning, an offensive lineman in the second. And John Michael Schmitz is the best center / interior guy available. Steve Avila is still available at a TCU. And Joe Tippmann. I would probably go John Michael Schmitz or Joe Tippmann here. Either one is fine. I'll just take John Michael Schmitz. We need a guy that can play, interior offensive line. This, John Michael Schmitz could start right away. And if Chase Roulier is back and he's good, you can move John Michael Schmitz to left guard. And then your starting offensive line would be Charles Leno, John Michael Schmitz, Chase Roulier at center, and then Sam Cosmi at right guard, and then Andrew Wiley at right tackle. That is an improvement over last year, and it really just depends on if Chase Roulier can stay healthy and how good John Michael Schmitz is, and even some of the other guys as well. I mean, there's a lot of X factors there, honestly. We'll take John Michael Schmitz. I think that would help out this offensive line. And just some real quick, some information on him: 6'3.5". 300 pounds, so not the tallest or heaviest, really. His combine, 5.35, 40-yard dash, 29.5-inch vertical, 26 bench press reps. NFL comparison is Ben Jones. I'll just read the overview, and then we'll get to the next pick. Schmitz is a highly consistent zone scheme center with decent size. He is well schooled in all phases of the run game. He consistently uses the proper footwork and angles to find early positioning and has a tenacity to finish blocks at a high rate. He has plus football intelligence and makes the calls for the offense. His drive power is average and can be hit or miss, getting the second level targets. He lacks strength and his edges will get a little leaky in pass protection from time to time, but his overall technique and teamwork in the run game should create a plug-and-play opportunity in the pros. So, again, I think it would be a really good pick for the Commanders here in the second round. If you go corner or safety or whatever in the first round, if you take Brian Branch, he's a safety / corner. I think you got to go offense in the second, and preferably offensive line. But if one of those tight ends is there and he really tempts you, then go ahead and take him. So John Michael Schmitz is the second round pick. Okay, so now we're going to start to go a little bit quicker with the picks so the video doesn't go to 20 minutes because, yeah, it's going to take a little bit too long. But right here, they have Noah Sewell ranked really high at 80, and I thought he was going to be a really good player. Watched a lot of Oregon football over the last couple years, but this past season was a little bit disappointing for him. So I've seen in other mocks kind of in the 4th, 5th round range, and 97 is just a little too high for him, but I do really like the player. Think he could be really solid in this league. So right here, I honestly think we could pick another offensive lineman here, just because you could take edge rusher Zach Harrison out of Ohio State. I think that's a possibility. I think stacking up on the offensive line is a good way to go. I think we need to get 2 offensive linemen in this draft at least, and somewhat early. Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse is a guy to look out for. 6'5", 318 pounds. He's a possibility. Carter Warren also is a possibility out of Pittsburgh. I'm going to go ahead and take an offensive lineman. Jartavius Martin is a guy that they met with as well, but we already took a corner. We don't need a receiver or anything like that. So, going to go ahead and take Matthew Bergeron. Just quick information on him. Good strength, also brings the grip strength to gather and neutralize power rushes, and with his core strength, he assumes control and anchor struggles and redirects defenders out of plays. You guys can see some of the rest of the stuff, and he's pretty athletic. His RAS score, which caps at about 10, he has 8.73, so that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and take him right there. We're going to do this on the fly for the next pick as well, so got to wait a little bit. And in this next pick, I'm looking for either linebacker or edge rusher, one of those positions, and looks like Zach Harrison's still there. Is he going to be there when we pick, though? That's the real question, because if he is there, probably going to take him, but he just got taken by the Atlanta Falcons. So let's go ahead and wait for our pick, and we are up right now. It's lagging big time right now, but we are up with pick 118. I said linebacker, could go running back as well, or edge rusher. I'm going to go defense here, though, because we just went back-to-back on offense. And you got a couple solid linebackers here. Owen Papo, I know I'm butchering that name. He is a good, at a position need and is good value right here. One of the best players available. Very, very athletic. RAS score of 9.33, 6 foot, 225 pounds. And he's got great athletic upside. He ran a 4.47 40-yard dash, a 40-inch vertical. And not sure what this number is, but the highest of the class. So he's got very, very good athletic traits. And that's a plus for me. That's a plus for me. He's pretty big too, 225, and yeah, good speed and explosiveness. He has exceptional explosiveness when playing at full speed with impressive natural twitch and lateral burst. The lateral athleticism allows him to clog lanes when engaged with blockers and contributes to great closing bursts as a tackler. He can adjust his tackling angles at a moment's notice, and he knows how to use his length to wrap up. So that sounds good to me. Also, Marvion Overshone is another guy that the Commanders could take here. Would not mind him as well. And some offensive possibilities. Could go running back here. Maybe Sean Tucker. I think they might have met with him. We're going to go ahead and take linebacker. We need to add to the linebacker group. So I'm going to go ahead and take linebacker right here. Also, guys, real quick, make sure you guys check out Man to Mask. They're a great sleep mask company, and they sent me a mask a couple weeks ago. Been using it almost every night, and it's helped out my sleep tremendously. They have a bunch of different sleep masks. Just a normal one. They have a sound one with a speaker system. They have ones that you can change the temperature. So make sure you guys check them out. Link in the description. Use code HTTC for 10% off. Okay, so now we are in the 5th round, and just took defense, took a linebacker. I think we need to add maybe an edge rusher, and a lot of people are saying maybe 1st or 2nd round. I think that's too early. 3rd round's where I would think about it, and that 4th to 5th round is the sweet spot, because we have been drafting 7th rounders the last few years to that edge rusher position. So if you can get like a 3rd, 4th, 5th rounder, that's a little bit of an upgrade over there. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take an edge rusher. And Isaiah McGuire is available, one of the top players available. Again, I like to do best player available at position of need. So, obviously, we don't need a defensive tackle. Like, we have Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Phidarian Mathis. Just took a linebacker. We could use another one. We already took 2 offensive linemen, and maybe could take one here, but probably not. So I think best available and the one that makes sense is Isaiah McGuire out of Missouri. I'll go ahead and give you guys a brief overview on him. 6'4", 275 pounds, and so he's got the size you want. Maybe a little bit short for an edge rusher, but not too much. Probably average height is like 6'5". And in 2020, his production the last 2 years is pretty good for a 5th round pick. 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles in 2022, and 6 sacks and a forced fumble and a fumble recovery, and a batted pass in 2021. So not amazing numbers, but pretty good numbers and comparable to some of the guys in the 1st round. Of course, production is not everything, but it is, it is a factor. And drafting a guy in the 5th round with good production, I think, is a solid thing. So we need an edge rusher. He could come in there and be a rotational guy for us year 1, and who knows, maybe he develops into something more than that. Okay, so now we're in the 6th round, and right here, I think you could add to offense again. And there's a interior guy available. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. You could go tight end here. Here's the thing. I think for tight end, if you're gonna take a tight end, take one in the first few rounds, a guy that can play for you right away, because you already have projects. You already have Armani Rogers. You already have Cole Turner, guys that Cole Turner you drafted in the 5th round. Armani Rogers you didn't draft, was undrafted, but showed some things. And then you got Curtis Hodges, who, was injured for the year, but apparently has shown some good things this offseason. So you already have some projects. So I don't know about drafting a guy in the 6th round. I feel like that's just the same thing as those other 3 guys, and I think it's a waste of a pick. I'm going to go a guy that on this board's a little bit lower, but on normal boards or other boards I've seen him go in the 5th-ish round, and that's Deuce Vaughn, running back out of Kansas State. Very, very short, 5'5", 179 pounds. So, yeah, it would be weird having him and Jarrett Patterson in the same backfield, but probably if you draft him, probably means Jarrett Patterson's time in DC is up, unless it's on the practice squad. And I love Jarrett Patterson, but I wanted to change things up. I've not drafted him in any of my mock drafts. And real quick, I'll show you guys his stats. 5'6", 5'5" on other sides. So who knows? And 5'6" is what Kansas State had him at, so he's probably more like 5'5". Had an incredible year this past year, 1,600 yards, or close to 1,600 yards, 5.3 yards per carry, and 9 touchdowns. The year before, similar yards, but a little bit more yards per carry and 18 touchdowns. Also can receive the football as well, getting about 400 yards per year and a few touchdowns a year as well. Can return kicks as well. So a lot of different things that he can do. And played at Kansas State. I believe Darren Sproles also played at Kansas State and was also 5'6". And one thing is Andy Reid had Darren Sproles in Philly, I believe, right? I think they overlapped a little bit. So maybe and I when I was doing some research, I saw that the Chiefs were targeting at some point Darren Sproles in free agency while Eric Bieniemy was there. So maybe that influence is rubbing off on Eric Bieniemy a little bit, and he wants to go ahead and take a running back, someone like Deuce Vaughn. So I think that would make sense for the Commanders, and I'm going to go ahead and take him. And next guy, we'll go ahead and take a quarterback. They still need a quarterback. They have, Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell. 6th round quarterback. Let's go ahead and take Aiden O'Connell out of Purdue. 6'3", 213 pounds. We don't have to talk about him too much, but they do need a quarterback. Let's go ahead and take him, see what he can do. Don't mind taking a quarterback in the later rounds because, the hit rate isn't great, but if they can be a backup, that's a win in the 6th, 7th round. So we got one more pick to finish things off here, and then we're done. So this is going to be on the fly right here for the Washington Commanders. So could take a tight end. Best player available is a safety, but we already have a safety in Percy Butler, who's just drafted. You got Jeremy Reeves as well, so maybe not him. We'll just go second best player available in Nick Jones, cornerback out of Ball State. We could use some more depth there. See what he does. 7th round guy, 5'11", 190 pounds. See what he does, but I'm going to go ahead and draft him, and that's going to do it for this draft. So this has been a little different than most of my mock drafts, but I'm feeling solid about it. And if this happened, I would be pretty happy with the results of the draft. So we're just going to wait for these last few picks to finish up, and then we'll look at our draft. So got Devin Witherspoon, then back-to-back offensive linemen. Michael Schmitz will either be a center or guard, and Matthew Bergeron could play tackle or guard as well. Then we got a linebacker, an edge guy, Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State, running back, and then Aiden O'Connell and Nick Jones. So overall, solid draft. Let me know what you guys think. Might do one more mock draft. We'll see. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.